Hello everyone. So this is going to be the setup for our notes for today. So what I want you guys to do is pause this video right now and set up your notes. Once you're done setting up, we can unpause and then continue. So I'll wait for you guys to copy down the notes. All right, hopefully you were able to pause the video, copy down the notes, so let's go ahead and get started. Our objective for today is I can write the equations of linear functions in slope-intercept form. So this is going to be really important. We're going to learn about how to take an equation and put it in a special form where it's easy to see what the slope is and it's easy to see what the intercept is. And we're going to talk about what those two things are in a second. All right, so first of all, what is slope-intercept form? It's a form where when we write an equation, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like y equals, so whatever the output is, it equals m times x, where m is your slope, plus b. So let's talk about what those things are, okay? Let me pick this red. All right, m is your slope or rate of change. Okay, that's going to be m. And then b is your y-intercept or the starting point. Okay, so when we write our equation, we're going to write it in this format where we're going to see y equals whatever the slope is times x plus whatever the b is, the starting point. So I want us to look at our example down here. We know that Ashley has $15,000 already saved, and she saves $5,000 every month. So she has $15,000 already saved. I'm going to circle that because I know we usually circle our numbers when we annotate. So we want to show that on the graph. So she starts off with $15,000. So at 0 months before she even starts saving, she has $15,000, right? And on the graph, that's going to be right here. At 0 months, she has $15,000, okay? And then every month, she is saving $5,000. Every single month, she is saving $5,000. So that means, if I want to draw my point, after 1 month, she should have a total of $20,000, right? Because she saves 5 more every month. And then after 2 months, she should have $25,000, right? So go ahead and continue completing your table and completing your graph to fill in all the data that you need, right? So after 3 months, she should have 30,000, and just continue the pattern here. Okay. And then what I also want to do is I want to connect my line together on the graph to show that this line can continue upwards if I wanted it to. Okay? And let's pretend we did not have the word problem to find our rate of change. So remember that slope, right, m, equals the change in y over the change in x. So if we look for our change in y, right here, we're increasing by 5,000. Same thing here, if I look at my change in x between 2 points, if I pick, let's say, this point and this point, my change in x is 5,000. And my change, my change in y is 5,000, right? And my change in x is just 1. So same thing here. My change in x is just 1. So I know my m, my slope, is 5,000. That's my rate of change, right? That is the rate per month that I am saving. My m, my slope, is 5,000. Now I want to know what my y-intercept or my starting point is. We call it the y-intercept because if you notice, this blue point on the graph touches the y-axis. It intercepts the y-axis. It touches the y-axis. That's why we call it y-intercept. But it's also the starting point. So our starting point here is $15,000, right? That's what she starts off with. And we see that in the word problem here. We see that right here on the graph, and we see that right here on the table. There's 3 places where we can find that. All right? So now that I know what my m is and I know what my b is, right? I know what my slope is, I know what my y-intercept is. Now I want to actually write my equation. So if I write my equation here, the equation for this line is going to be y equals, right, m, but instead of m, I'm going to write 5,000, m x plus, and my starting point, b, which is my starting point. And that is going to be your final answer. Oops, I don't like that line. I don't like that line either. But like, you get what I'm saying. That's going to be your final answer. All right, our equation is y equals m x plus b. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We need to get some practice in, right? We're going to get some practice in. So I'm going to write practice down here. I want you guys to write the same thing. No, I don't think I actually I did highlight. Okay, we're going to practice here. So for problem number 1, if the m is 2 and b is 7, I want you guys to write what the equation would be down there. Okay, and same thing, we'll do another problem. If the m is 1/3 and the b is -5, I want you guys to write the equation. So pause this video right now, try these 2 problems, and then we can unpause and go over the answer. All right, hopefully you guys came up with some answers. Let's see if you guys were correct. All right, for the first problem, we know it's y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to do y equals, my m is 2, x plus my b is 7. So that should have been your answer for problem number 1. Okay? For problem number 2, it's a little tricky here. Our m is 1/3. It's a fraction. So 1/3 x. And instead of plus 5, this is a negative number. We're going to say -5. And that should have been your answer for number 2. Okay? Now let's do a challenge problem. Let's do a challenge problem. Okay. Let's pretend I gave you a table instead of giving you guys the M and the B ahead of time. Let's pretend I gave you a table. So go ahead and create your table. Okay, and let's say I have the point 0, 3, 1, 5, and 2, 7. I need you guys to find the slope, find the y-intercept, and then tell me what the equation would be. So pause this video, try that by yourself, and then we will go over the answer. All right, let's see what we figured out. So the slope, I'm going to switch to red because I've been using red for slope. Again, I could keep telling you guys to memorize this formula. It's a change in y divided by the change in x, okay? So my change in y here, it's going up by 2, and my change in x is going up by 1. So my slope is just 2. My y-intercept is my starting point. So in my table, I can see that my starting point is right here. So when x is 0, the value of my y is 3. So that's going to be my starting point, my y-intercept. So when you guys write your actual equations, it should be y equals m, which is 2, x plus b. And that should be your answer. All right, so hopefully these notes make sense to you. Right here is what your overall note should look like. I'm just going to run a line through my sections to keep it organized, but you do not have to do that whatsoever. Okay, but good job, and we'll go over all of this in class tomorrow.